Hey everybody, this is John Highley. Today we're actually going to be working on this Mazda 3. As you can see, the door is just absolutely hammered. You can see that it has several cracks actually in the finish. One that's major where it laid over a brace or something on the inside of the panel, okay? We're actually going to remove this door and stick it on a hood stand. It's going to basically allow us to work the door from multiple directions, and basically it kind of saves us time in the end actually, and you'll see how that works out. Now this repair here is not one of them 100% repairs. This is definitely one where they just want to make it to where it doesn't look like a giant dent, hit their vehicle. With damage like this on a door, there's something that you need to realize. When you have that strong line running through the center of the dent, and you see a crack right there, there's something behind it. What we're gonna do, it's obvious, and we've actually got the door off the car and we've got it on a stand now. It's quite obvious that the dent is running right through the middle of a brace. What we've come to find out that brace is glued to the panel. Just about like every brace that you deal with, it's gonna have some sort of either pockets of glue or it's gonna be glued all the way across, actually attaching itself to the door skin. So what we're going to do at this point, we're going to release all of that pressure. I think that we're going to actually see some metal move right on out, but we'll jump in here and take a look at it. Actually going to go in with a torch and do some cutting. And remember, you got to be quick. You got to move fast. You could use Gojo, but we're cutting a big area here. So I'm looking for speed. I'm looking for it to be efficient. And we're actually going to cut that skin and release it from the door brace. So let's jump over here and get to work on that, and we'll keep on moving along. All right, everybody, here is the door directly after cutting the glue. As you can see, it did release a lot of the dent, but I mean, we still got a nasty dent here to contend with. And doing some soft tip pushes right in through here. So whenever we go to do the crown work all up through here, it doesn't sink the dent back in as a big giant dent. So essentially, we're doing our push work right here to stabilize this damage down here so we can do our knockdown work up through here. All right, everybody, what I'm gonna go in here with to begin with is this nice 90 bend soft tip, okay? My optimal goal here is just to get some balance in this dent. It's way off balanced. It's got a big low coming down this way. It's got high spots that ridged up on this side. It's got a giant low up here at the top. So the first thing I want to do is stabilize it by getting that lower dent. Let's just start to bring it up with balance. Once I bring that up and kind of tighten it into all them high spots, we'll be able to go into a knockdown session. So this right here is the tool that I'm using, and I'm just going to be working that bottom spot. I'm not looking for perfection at this point. I'm just looking to bring it up and take a little bit of pressure off them high spots so we can actually go into a knockdown session. So let's jump over here and get to work. All right, guys, so one of the first things that I'm going to do, it's a little bit cold up here in Ohio, so I'm going to heat this dent to begin with. The one thing that I want you to notice is there's a little bit of gloss around here. That's because what we've actually done is we've taken some clear coat paint and put it over this cracked area, so that way it's going to maintain during our repair process. So we don't have to worry about this thing splitting open as we make pushes around it. At least we hope not. All right, everybody, now we're going to go ahead and begin making our first pushes. Just trying to relieve some pressure. Really trying to stabilize this body line so it'll hold the whole dent up. Nice soft tip pushes. Definitely like them. And if you could imagine if we were starting this dent with a sharp tip, it would be brutal. Got to move a lot of metal along, and that's what soft tips are good for. Ultimately, this is designed to stop this thing from oil canning. I mean, that's really what we're doing here. Last thing we want is a big old oil canner. I mean, there's definitely situations that's going to happen, but we just continuously work to figure out how to ease that process. You guys know me, I've developed some procedures that specifically deal with oil can dents. Just trying to raise this up so whenever we start tapping, sucker doesn't just fall right back into where it came from. Trying to keep it from the pits of hell where it was originally at. And I mean, this was one, you know, this is definitely one that's, it went there, you know. There we go. Very, very nice. I think we're about ready to get into our knockdown session now. We've just got this metal going in the right direction. We've got some crowns coming through this side. We've got some crowns coming through this side right here, and some crowns coming through this side. We got a whole area right here that's going to need knocked down. But I'm going to focus on this for the moment, and then we're going to go further up here, and we're going to make some pushes stabilizing the top of the panel. So if you guys can see that here, right up in through there, we're looking to stabilize all of this up through here. And, you know, push out this little crease, push this up a little bit, just trying to bring it up with balance. But the first thing we're going to do, we're going to kind of knock down this nasty little high spot around this deep point here. So right here and right here, we're going to go in, and this is all going to be with a soft tip knockdown. All right, guys, with this soft tip knockdown, we're going to focus on the damage through here and through here. We're just going to try to relieve that pressure. And then after that, we're going to go into some more push work up into the upper part of the damage. All right, guys, at this point, I feel like we definitely got enough off the edges to begin working up through here. Again, this is about creating balance. So we got this area right here pushed up to hold the stability of the panel. Now, I'm gonna need to go right on up here to the top. And we're gonna have to get this section right here kind of pushed into this center tension area right here so we can begin what I call making the panel stable. At the point to where it's stable and moldable and we can actually begin doing definition work. At this point, we're still working on bringing it up with balance. Just remember that. I talk about that a lot, of pushing these dents and bringing them up with balance. So I did a little bit of crown work here. Great. We created some balance. We don't want to go too far down because we still got a big low up here. So now I'm going to go in and do some push work and focus on this giant low up here. I'm not saying I'm going to get it all the way out, but we'll at least release some of this pressure up top so we can begin doing the crown work on the back side of it. All right, guys, so one of the first areas I'm going to shallow up is right up in through here. You might see this thing oil canning a little bit because it is in a natural curve, but that's all right. We're going to get a lot of this shallowed up from top to bottom. We're going to try to recreate our nice natural curve. See, right there's what I mean. That's kind of the whole panel going against the grain, and a lot of it has to do with this big crown back here. So we'll get a lot of that knocked out. And then we'll have to go in here in between the braces and do some pushes up in through here. But right now, I'm just going to push the top a little bit and just get that kind of shallowed up off of this right here. And then I might make a few pushes right in here. I expect some major oil canning, but at that point, we're going to go in here and start doing some knockdown work to the back side of this crown. Just trying to bring it up nice and balanced. These little bitty baby pushes here. Should get an oil can here, but you know, you expect that with this type of damage. Definitely feel some major stretch through here. All right, guys, the key thing is we're gaining a little bit of stability through here. Now what I'm going to do is we're going to push the light back and we're going to begin working this backside crown. So right in through here, guys, we had this nice little high spot emerge. It's subtle, you know, so it's not too bad. But I'm going to go ahead and work in getting this tension area that's pulling tension from that side off the center of this damage. All right, guys, so here's what I'm going to do. I got to go in here and knock all the tension off this line. So all the crown work that you see is going to be done through here, okay? I'm going to knock that down, give us a chance to raise up the center of this dent, and just need to get all the tension off this, including all the tension back through here. So we'll continue knocking down, and we'll jump in here as soon as I'm ready to do a little bit more push work. All right, everybody, so this right here is the point that I'm at with it. Definitely looks kind of like a rippled up mess, but if you look at a lot of these little spots here, it's soft tip, you know, nothing aggressive, nothing harsh on the panel. you know, every little spot is basically a little ding that can be pushed up. Definitely going to be the one thing that we have coming through here. We've got a nice curve going this way, flat panel up this way, a deeper curve coming at this direction. I got three things here, you know, or probably more than that to work with. What I'm going to focus on here is actually coming in here from a cross-check angle and getting all this shaped up relatively decent. And to the point where I think it's going to take a little bit of pressure off this one, because every time I push up here, it's oil canning. Just need to spread that pressure out a little bit. We'll be using some sharp tip knockdown along with quite a bit of soft tip knockdown, because we still got some crown spots like the one down through here. That definitely a soft tip works great for that. But basically, guys, I'm into the point where I'm coming in from a cross-check angle, and I'm going to see what cleaning a lot of this up will do to this part up here. So I'm hoping that it tightens it up a little bit and just keeps us from that dreaded oil can effect. All right, everybody, so what I'm going to be doing here is just kind of reshaping this curvature right here. So I definitely want to get it into its natural shape. Some of that is going to include doing some hammer and knockdown work. As you can see here, I've actually got a sharper knockdown tip here to start with, but I'm still using the 90 bend soft tip tool that we started with to go through areas like through here, and I might be doing a little bit of work through here on the little low here. And just kind of shaping this thing up. I'm likely going to have to tap in here, which will allow us to see kind of the power of this clear coat holding up through the tapping process. But let's go ahead and jump in there and get started. I'm going to make some pushes to begin with. Going through our same access point. Definitely going to be fighting that oil can effect throughout this process, but maybe I'll just oil can it and then work the dent with it up like that, just so it stops bothering us throughout the pushing process. Kind of allows me to shrink these little lows. Right now we want to go into a little bit of knockdown work. And she came right down, but the point is we were able to concentrate and get a lot of these little lows pushed up. All right, got that area looking better. Just want to kind of take a look through this panel. I really think my plan's going to work the more that we work into, this was a concentrated stretch spot with that big old line that was coming through here at the beginning. You know the metal stretch when it smashes into another panel of metal and creates all this displacement right here in this area. So I'm going to continue shaping it up from this angle. Just pushing out little lows and tapping down little highs. We'll probably get the oil can effect through the whole process, but sometimes you got to oil can it to push up a little low right there. So we got a little low right there. Might have to push it up nice and hard. It might have to oil can up here before I can actually extend it and lay the thing down and tap it even. But again, this thing, we're starting to gain a little bit of balance here. So once we get to that point, we'll be able to, you know, it should stop oil canning at that point once we maintain some balance. And something you might notice here, when I'm tapping through that, this clear coat keeps it together real nice. I mean, that's definitely going to help us out throughout this whole procedure. I might go in here and begin pushing back here on this little bitty crease as well. So we might as well, while we have it at this angle, you want to try to get as many things that complement this angle, because we got a crease going this way, and within this dent, we'll be able to push it out from this angle and make it a little bit easier on us in the long run. Still got a little bit of crown work that needs to be done back through here. Definitely, again, something that can be tapped out from this angle. But we'll just keep on working out all these little lows. See, there it went again, but that's all right. That's a-okay with me. Definitely getting at a point with some of these, like this one right here, where a sharper tip is going to help out on that. Maybe a bullet tip. Not a super sharp tip, but a bullet tip would be nice to finish that out. But I'm going to keep on going with my soft tip and just try to concentrate some of this area through here before we go back to a cross-check angle, and definitely need to tap some of this out. All right, everybody, so what we're doing, we're going in from this real nice, strong cross-check angle. We're going to be going into some areas like down through here, okay? Got little bitty creases here. I got a little small crease right here, and got some high spot right here that needs to be tapped out. So I'm going to jump in here and tap this out first. Then I'm going to go in and start making some little pushes from this angle, just trying to maintain some stability. I do expect some oil canning to be going on up here during the process, but most of the time I'll let it thump in. I'll make my pushes, and then when we go to tap down, it'll go down, and I'll be able to see the panel in the context that it's supposed to be looked at. So we'll jump in here and start tapping right through here. Right, that's good enough. Now I'm actually going to take a bullet tip style tool and just make a run through here, right here, just kind of tightening up this line. All right, everybody, so basically I'm going to go in there with this double bend pick and just make some pushes throughout this, this crease line right here, just trying to straighten it up a little bit. We're going to have to go in for some strong cross-checking, but if you notice that all I'm doing is trying to bring this thing up with balance. Little bitty pushes through here. We might go ahead and go into a knockdown session, maybe make a few concentrated pushes here, and we'll get this just leveled out decently so we can jump into another cross-checking angle. So going into the same access hole, I expect for this to oil can. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. Oh yes, it did. Really wouldn't even give me a good push until it went. This allows me to just concentrate these little bitty pushes right in here. And there we go. The oil can effect is there we go. Was able to lay it down. Now we got a nice little high ridge here, and we'll go in there and just try to little by little blend that out. So again, not getting too carried away through here. Just definitely trying to make that line a little bit smaller. All right, at this point, I'm going to go in and do some concentrated shots right up here through our cracked area. Again, it's going to oil can, but you know, that's where the panel needs to be so we can actually move the metal, it appears. By the time we're done here, we'll have it in a point of stability. So So I'm not too worried about that. Just making little pushes all the way through this deepest stretched area here. All right. Pushing it up from that angle, and now we get the real view whenever we tap it down. Just laying it down and blending it out. And now, guys, I think I'm ready to come back to my original cross-checking angle and begin working it from this other side. All right, everybody, so now we actually coming back to our original angle, and we're going to be looking through and working it down from this angle. What you're going to be able to see here, we'll take a shot of this here in just a moment, but the big low up through here kind of flowed a little bit further back. That's common. You know, we did a lot of knockdown work back here behind it to cause it to flow in that direction. We are going to I'm going to have Alan actually hold tension on this while I'm working up little bitty spots and little bitty lows that are up here through the middle. So we're going to show you exactly how we're going to hold that tension on here. And now it's came up, you know, it's got balance now. It's got some flow to it. We're actually to the point where we can start pinpointing little spots. Again, we're not getting too carried away with this. This is one of them make it better type situations, but we're going to do what we can to make it look great. We want it to look great out in the natural, to where you look down the side of that panel and it looks really, really good. I think we're definitely achieving that already. But little by little, I'm going to show you, we're going to have to make these pushes, and then we're actually going to go ahead and go in there and do a little bit of sanding and polishing just to get that where we had to concentrate the stretch, just to get that surface looking a little bit more even. Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll jump in here, and I'm going to show you exactly what type of pressure we're holding on it, and I'm going to show you exactly what I'm doing here. All right, guys, so basically what I have here, we definitely have our little cracked area, and as you can see, the clear coat is held up nice on there. But what I'm trying to do here is pick up some little bitty lows here and there. As you can see, that bigger dent up through here, it kind of flowed down into this area. And what we're going to do, we're going to be doing some tension holds. So I'm going to have Alan take the back of my rubber hammer and hold right here while I'm making some pushes and picking out some of these little bitty lows. Probably going to have to hold it back here as well when we go into that bigger low. But as you can see, little by little it's coming along, and it's beginning to actually take shape. So at this point, again, just picking up some lows, and I want to get it to the point to where we can do a little bit of wet sanding and polishing on the finish, just to give it that little bit of additional match in the texture that it's going to need for a finished product. So we'll keep on moving forward here, and we'll go ahead and check it out from this angle. All right, everybody, so I'm going to have Alan begin to hold tension. What I'm going in there with is this hockey stick style tool, and I found it's great because it's nice and strong, and you can actually hook this down in underneath the braced area and get a decent push as well. So it's not a super thin tool, but it definitely works out for what we're doing here. All right, everybody, so I just want to give you a little bit of an over-the-shoulder look of what we're doing here. Alan is actually holding that tension right there, allowing me to take my tool in here and push up these little bitty lows. You can see we definitely got one sitting right in there. I mean, that is a very, very powerful. Even though he's holding that down, that pressure that I'm putting right here is very, very powerful. Like, for instance, if he was to take that tool away, if he was to take the pressure off of there, look how quick it oil cans. And it stays into an oil can position. So we definitely want to be able to shrink this thing up and get this thing in shape without it going in that direction. So go ahead and hold the tension there, Alan. And each little push here is actually shrinking this thing, making it to where each and every pass that I go through here is going to be a little bit more manageable each and every time. All right, let loose. All right, guys, so I'm going to keep on going through here, and just getting this area nice and cleaned up, trying to get the pattern and tighten it real close together before we go in here and do a little bit of wet sanding. And at that point, it's going to blend in rather nicely. I mean, we're going to be doing a little bit of push work here at the end, but all in all, we're getting real close to finishing this thing out. All right, everybody, so now we got this thing to the point to where I definitely want to clean it up with a little bit of wet sanding here. You can see that that clear coat on that little scratch right there really kept it together throughout the process. So we're getting to a point here where we're getting really down to the nitty-gritty here. So I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of wet sanding and buffing, and I'm going to run through this thing and maybe do a little bit more touch-up work before we're able to go ahead and display our finished results. All right, everybody, so we now have this door hung back on the vehicle and it's all finished. Again, you know, we were looking for about a 90% removal. I did think it came out a little bit better than that, but this right here obviously you see the damage right now. I mean, the thing was buckled into several different spots, sent a big old low up throughout the panel. Definitely had to fight an oil can style dent during the hole pushing procedure. So with all them obstacles in our way, 3 different curves to blend out, I think it came out great for what it was. But let's go ahead and jump in here and take a look at the after shot here, and then we'll talk a little bit more about you know, what we learned during this repair process. All right, guys, so there we have it. You want to check it out here. This is the finished result from our repair process, and came out real decent. I mean, definitely not perfect, but we weren't looking for a flawless, you know, finished product. Just wanted you to take a look at it here and check out, you know, how we were able to reform this panel pretty close back to its original condition. And the customer and the client is going to be ecstatic, and that. All right, everybody, I wanted to go over a few things that we've actually learned during this process. I think some of the important things to note is that when you have a big old low, a wobbly dent, you got to begin stabilizing that thing. So basically, to begin with, we took our pushes with our soft tip tool and stabilized it into that body line. So that way, you know, if you notice, the more that we worked that area that was around that body line, the better the surrounding area and the easier it was to actually make pushes and begin stabilizing itself for a finished repair. Another thing that we learned, when you get into an area of a panel that has 3 different curves, okay, when you start pushing, that thing's going to buckle in and out throughout the repair process. So you're going to want to figure a way to actually maintain and hold that panel down while you're making your concentrated pushes, okay? I'm going to go as far to say that probably 70% of this was actually pushed up and tapped down with a soft tip tool and a soft tip knockdown. After that, went into the refining work using a sharper tip knockdown, and there was a little while that I actually used a double bend tool that had more of a bullet point to it. And then we moved into the hockey stick tool, because with the curve that it has, we could sink it down underneath that brace. Another thing that we learned right off the beginning, we cut the glue from that elongated brace on the inside of the panel, releasing most of the damage. In fact, that thing was holding that damage so tight that when it came up, it threw everything, you know, turned everything into massive high spots. At that point, we had to relieve that pressure as we brought it up with balance. So when we're relieving pressure, we're pushing to keep it balanced so it all doesn't sink back into kind of like a big low. Once you'd be surprised, you know, you do these doors, you put them on a stand, you might see little micro flaws here and there while you're working it on a nice flat hood stand, and you get that thing hung on the door and it's way down low like that. I mean, it just blends itself right in. So we're gonna have a very, very happy client with this repair. And I'll tell you, it would have been very, very hard to get it to this point without pulling it off the car. So that's some of the things that we learned there. You definitely want to, whenever you have a crack in the panel, to keep that crack from spreading and breaking into the rest of it, put a little bit of clear coat on top of it. Typically, you're going to buff that out in the end anyway. Now, I will tell you, when you do go to buff out a little stripe of clear coat, make sure that you don't go against the grain. You literally want to wipe that with the line. You know, if you got a line going this way, that's the way you want to rub the towel whenever you're actually buffing that spot out. You start going back and forth against it like this, you have the ability for the towel to actually catch one of the edges and chip it off. We've had a lot of luck using clear coat, sealing cracks up for the repair process. Keeps them to where they do not spread throughout the panel. Other than that, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.